Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Now, one of the things I love about recording this podcast is after chatting to my guests, I get to see things that I take for granted in a whole new light. For example, when ordering a nice cold beer on a hot summer day, I ask the bartender for a pint, I drink the pint. That's about as far as my thinking goes. But have you ever thought about how that pint gets into your hands? For example, ABinBEV have centuries of brewing history. They've seen countless new connections and experiences, all built on a shared love of beer. And naturally, they're committed to making beer part of life's greatest moments for the next 100 years too. But a successful brewer requires natural ingredients, a healthy natural environment and thriving communities to make it a success. This is where we begin to find that sustainability challenges such as water, barley, grain, etc. are beginning to become a real challenge. And where does a company such as ABinBEV begin to tackle issues like this? And this is where I did a little research and I read that they said, today's global sustainability challenges provide us with some of the greatest opportunities for development and innovation. We want to empower driven and committed entrepreneurs who are solving problems in their own communities. So as a result, they're mobilising the world's brightest minds to solve some of the most pressing global sustainability issues. So through their 100+ Accelerator, they went looking for partners who can deliver breakthrough advancements in water stewardship, farmer productivity, product upcycling, responsible sourcing, green logistics, and so much more. And that has got to make you question that humble pint you hold in your hand, right? So that was more than enough for me to ask them on the show today. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to New York City so we can speak with Maisie Devine, who's going to tell us all about the 100+ Accelerator and why she's so excited about the programme. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Maisie. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. So Maisie Devine, I am the Global Director of the 100+ Accelerator at Anheuser-Busch InBev. So back in March, ABI launched our 2025 sustainability goals. So we have a new set of goals that we've committed to achieving by 2025 around water stewardship, circular packaging, smart agriculture, and climate action. And so we made some commitments to the world then that we would achieve them by 2025. And we launched this accelerator program to find new and innovative solutions to help achieve or even exceed the goals. And we are looking in various markets all over the world to try and find innovative solutions, new technology, budding entrepreneurs. We are going to select them and run them through a program to help validate their solution and then scale it globally to really make an impact. And so we kicked off the accelerator program in April, and we just closed the applications last Friday. So we're busy cycling through those and trying to find the winners, and we'll be announcing those the week of October 1st. So a small amount about me and then a lot about the accelerator, but that's what I'm doing right now.
Fantastic. Now, I did do a little bit of research on you guys. So obviously I know you're based in New York City, but you do love a good British drama and Nutella croissants for breakfast. Not necessarily in that order, of course. So as a Brit podcaster, I have to ask, which dramas do you like?
Yeah, so I'm glad that I reviewed my social accounts last night so that I could have an answer. And I have expanded my appreciation of British cinema and television beyond drama, but I love the original BBC Pride and Prejudice with Colin Firth and Jennifer Eel, so that's always a fan favorite. But even going beyond that, I'm a huge fan of Dawn French and The Vicar of Dibley. All of the inspectors, Inspector Morse, Inspector Lewis, Midsummer Murders, love Keeping Up Appearances. So, personally, I love British television. I think you do a much better job than we do. And so I'm all in on the British TV all the time. So those are just a few of my favorites.
Oh man, it seems you've got all bases covered there. Now, you are the global director of the 100 Plus Accelerator, which we've already talked about, but have also been an angel investor at ZX Ventures. And in your early career, you co-founded Savvy. So can you tell me a little bit more about your inspiration and what put you on this path, and any advice that you could pass down to those that are listening that are just at the beginning of their journey?
Sure. So I started out of school and was working at a digital media company here in New York and really liked it. I had a great boss, good hours, and getting paid well, and I was promoted a couple of times, but it started getting less and less challenging. They just gave me more of the same work. And there's something about not being challenged, even if everything else is going well, that kind of eats away at you. And so a couple years out of university, when I've been doing that job for some time, I started looking at what else I could do on the side. And I had gotten a book called The Intelligent Entrepreneur for Christmas that year. And it was a book that just followed a few entrepreneurs and how they got their start and how they founded their companies. And so I started looking at different problems in my life, one being that I was happy enough at my current job, but not in a position to really make the effort to do a full-on job search. So I would rather have said, hey, anonymously, I'm ready to leave. Is anyone interested in my skill set, as opposed to kind of hitting the open job market? And so many of my friends had the same impulse, that they were kind of ready to leave, but didn't have the time or the energy or the motivation at that point to do a full-on job search, and would have wanted anonymously to raise their hand to companies that were looking for their skill set. So I started working on it part-time, and then developed the idea enough, found a co-founder, and then we quit when we were accepted into actually another accelerator called the Entrepreneurs Roundtable Accelerator, that's also here out of New York City. And we founded the company. We got to about 40,000 users who are all passively looking for new career opportunities anonymously. And we built it, we raised some money, and that's really how I got my start. And I think that passing some lessons on, because I have a couple of friends who have also just started companies, and so I'm able to speak from a bit of similar experience, which is, I think you have to go for it. If you really feel like you have something there, you can't hesitate, because you're going to look back and you're going to be really disappointed in yourself if you didn't take that leap. And then the second one, which is hitting a little bit closer to home right now, is it's such a wild ride emotionally being an entrepreneur, and you'll have, even within a day, wins, but mostly a lot of harder times and working through different impediments, and having people say no to you, whether that's customers or investors or users having complaints. And it's this constant wild ride of emotional turmoil that you have to be able to get through. But just knowing that is part of the process, and that everyone experiences this, and so you have to just stay the course, and that really helps create a successful company. If you don't kind of let yourself be driven by the emotional ups and downs of starting a business. So go for it, and then stay the course. Those are my two pieces of advice when speaking to entrepreneurs. And then having a good network around you, a supportive network. I think it takes a lot of people propping you up, making the right introduction, supporting your business, being really vocal about the success and the great idea that you have, and the great business that you are contributing. And I think those three things kind of come together to really propel a business forward.
Sounds like fantastic advice to me. Now, Now, when I recently read that the 100 Plus Accelerator was looking for the next generation of academics, entrepreneurs, and startups who can actually tackle the top 10 pressing environmental challenges set, it kind of set off my tech spidey senses a little bit. So I had to get you on the show today. But for anyone listening that's hearing about it for the first time, can you just offer an overview of exactly what the 100 Plus Accelerator is?
Yeah, and I touched a bit on this before. We announced our Sustainability Accelerator earlier year alongside the 2025 goals. And we're asking applicants to address 10 challenges that we sourced from across the company, from different countries and subject matter experts, and even some external stakeholders in terms of VCs and NGOs, to find 10 challenges that were both deeply connected to our goals, and key to solving our wider business problems, but also even that help contribute to the UN SDGs. So we were looking at that as well, and we want to make a difference across all of those initiatives. And so this year, it's our pilot program, our first annual program. We'll run it for 6 months. We just closed the applications last Friday. We're in the process of selecting the companies right now, and then we'll be announcing them the week of October 1st, kicking off the accelerator here in New York, 5-day intensive session on October 15th. And we had a great response, and I was just looking through. We had over 600 applications, which far exceeded our expectations, and we're furiously reading through them right now, and doing interviews and validating the different technology. And we're creating our short list to get to the winners. We're kicking off, right at the kickoff, we're going to be setting up pilots all over the world. So we got applications from every one of our 9 zones that we operate in. And so, dozens of countries contributed to the number. We're going to be standing up pilots in those countries, giving them resources, financial backing, network expertise, different tools that they need, and trying to make sure that we kind of do what we need to do to support them, to get these ideas in market, proven, and then scaled. And that's really the biggest part of the program and our mission, is that we know that we can provide the support to help move these solutions faster, and in that, achieving a sustainable solution for our planet, when we really provide that backing, the backing of such a large company. And so we're going to be sharing these solutions and really driving towards impact.
So what was the original impetus behind ABinBEV launching that 100 Plus Accelerator? And are there any real big goals or objectives that you wanted to achieve with it?
Yeah, so sustainability is embedded in our business, and our 2025 goals support our ambition to build a company to last. So our product is made from barley, water, yeast, malt, and those are all natural ingredients. And so we're committed to a healthy environment, thriving communities, so we can continue to brew beers and bring people together for the next 100 plus years. And that's something that we feel very passionately about. We have the 4 sustainability goals are around smart agriculture. So we want 100% of our growers and direct farmers to be skilled, connected, and financially empowered. We work with 50,000 farmers all over the world. And so supporting them and helping them to succeed is really important to us. We have a goal on water stewardship. So 100% of our communities in high stress areas will have measurably improved water availability and impact by 2025. And we've seen some great applications on the water side already for the accelerator. We have a circular packaging goal. So 100% of our products will be in packaging that's either returnable or majority recycled content. And we're also looking at different solutions that take our spent grain and turn it into packaging. So we've seen a couple of those types of applications in the accelerator, which we think is really cool. Those types of packaging end up being not only compostable, but also edible, which is pretty interesting. And then we have a goal around climate action. So 100% of our purchased electricity will be from renewable sources. And we're looking to get a 25% reduction in CO2 emissions across our value chain. So, we're seeing applications that address all of those, and that is really important to us, and we really wanted to drive change to achieve them. So that's a bit about where we came from on the accelerator. And I think I mentioned before, our challenges that we issued for the accelerator are central to our goals, and then also aligned with the 2030 UN Sustainable Development Goals. We're a global company. We operate in over 130 countries, and we're traveling to them all the time. And we're seeing, and our colleagues on the ground are seeing solutions to environmental problems that are affecting their everyday lives. And they are also driven to find innovation, technology, and insights that can help to solve some of these pressing issues. And so they really see the potential for implementing these solutions and scaling them. And they are pushing us so hard on the global team to really support these initiatives and to help them prove them and scale them. So it really comes from the ground up within the company, from our local operations, our procurement teams, even our growers are all really pushing. Everyone is pushing this forward, including the leadership as well. But there's really a groundswell in the company to create change. And we think that's really impactful. And so we wanted to use that energy and that enthusiasm and build on that and help propel some of these innovative companies through the 100+ accelerator.
I was going to ask, what makes the Accelerator program different from others out there? But just listening to you, it seems to be sustainability, impact, and driving meaningful change, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I know that there are tons of accelerator programs out there. And I think, this one is ambitious and it's differentiated in a couple of different ways. One is, the focus on sustainability. And I think two is, our ABinBEV is a huge company. And one of our central core principles is delivering results. And so we created this accelerator to use the company and all of its resources to drive results for these companies, for these startups in the accelerator. And so that's what the whole program is based around. It's around finding companies, innovative solutions, testing them, and then scaling them and driving them to deliver impact and really help us achieve the sustainability goals for the company and for the SDGs. And so I think it's different in that way, that we are the flagship customer for them, and we are going to back them 100%, whether it's talking to other investors and saying, we believe in this company, our subject matter experts have vetted it, we've piloted it, we've gotten incredible results, you should continue to invest in them, or it's through to other customers, to other big corporates, other consumer goods companies, or even other sectors. Some of the water and climate action companies that we're looking at could have impact in pharma, could have impact in semiconductors. So we can go to these companies with a ton of credibility and say, look, we vetted these companies. We are a customer. You should really seriously consider looking at them, implementing them in your supply chain as well. And so I think that those those parts of this accelerator and our commitment to be a good partner to these companies and to build a different kind of relationship where we are really propelling their success and really, working to do that, everyone inside the company, I think is a huge difference. Sustainability is not a competition. And so we're trying to find solutions that work for us, could work for, Heineken or Carlsberg, and even outside of the beer sector. So, looking into maybe Nestle or P&G, could some of our solutions that we find really drive even more impact by sharing across, even to our competitors or across different sectors. And I think that we are open to sharing these so much more than anything that I've worked on that I've seen before at this company. We want to share these best practices. We want to jointly fund solutions and work together with new partners and innovators to create a better world. And that's really why we're doing this and why we find it to be extremely differentiated.
Fantastic. I mean, we have mentioned a few already, but for people listening that are unaware on the kind of challenges that you're facing, can you maybe explore a few of the other pressing environmental challenges that you're looking for academics, entrepreneurs and startups to help tackle by creating solutions through technology?
Yeah. So, I think I covered a bit on the water, ag, packaging, and climate.
Yeah.
We're moving product all over the world all the time. And so safer and greener logistics is one that maybe I haven't addressed yet, but, it's the transportation sector is one of the largest contributors of greenhouse gas emissions. How can we find, smart, safe, fuel efficient logistics that can transform supply chain footprints? And I think, and that's not just roads, and the company overall has been looking at different new technologies in terms of trucking. So, we made an announcement in North America that we were purchasing Tesla semi trucks, and we just purchased hydrogen fuel celled trucks as well from Nikola, which is a startup here in the United States. But we're also looking at other transportation that we use, like ocean. So is there a new technology or a new kind of fuel that we can implement into ocean freight that can reduce emissions, and not just carbon, all sorts of dangerous emissions for the environment? So, logistics is something we're looking at. We are looking, one of the challenges is around responsible sourcing. We have to have, responsible sourcing throughout our supply chain, and not just in agriculture, but also across every function, whether that's, marketing and purchasing swag and t-shirts and keychains. Those are complex and changing supply chains, and we need transparency and really be able to, and tracking, and to really be able to provide scalable solutions to understand, track, and give feedback for some of these complex and changing supply chains that we operate in and can make a huge difference in, as well as a buyer. And then, we also have a challenge around empowering small businesses. And so we work with millions of small business owners around the world in our supply chain, and how can we effectively disseminate knowledge and transfer technology throughout our supply chain? Can we promote economic productivity through digital training and financial inclusion? So that could be, a small retailer, it could be a grower, it could be, a paper supplier in our supply chain. So we have a challenge around that. And then I think one of my favorite challenges is around waste to well-being and upcycling of our co-product. So, we know that the current food supply and how we consume globally is not sustainable. And how can we use the millions of tons of grain and yeast co-product that come from the brewing process? How can we repurpose that to feed those who need it? And we have different smaller initiatives all over the world. So we just started a high protein, high fiber smoothie in South Africa that comes from our co-product for young kids. So it's called Jumpstart. And so we're looking at other types of initiatives. How can we really repurpose that, make it more of a circular food supply, and really impact the food supply of the world by doing that effectively. So those are a couple other challenges beyond even the goals that I talked about before that we're soliciting innovation and new startup ideas around.
So are these challenges specific to geographic regions? Because obviously you cover the entire world here.
Yeah, so they are. And you definitely, and when I talk to the different countries and I'm speaking, where their priorities are. So in Europe, they talk a lot about packaging. They really want to solve the packaging and the recycling. And certainly Europe is already doing so much there, but that's a big goal of theirs is reducing packaging, including more recycled content, including returnable packaging. And so, that goes right to the top for Europe. And then India, we work with thousands of farmers, barley farmers in India. And so for India and some of the rest of APAC, it is agriculture, it's water. They're really interested in some of the water solutions that have come through. In Colombia, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia's instituted a new carbon tax, and so they're really concerned about carbon. How do we reduce our carbon footprint? A lot of it comes from regulation. So whatever the regulators, they can set the tone and what they care about, and then that drives action within a country. And so we see that a lot, and it helps to prioritize for the different countries which of the challenges are most impactful for them and what they care about the most.
And as for the startups that are directly involved with the Accelerator program, I'm curious how it all works. I mean, does ABinBEV take equity, or is there a cash prize or any other financial incentive for those people that are involved?
Yeah, so we'll be investing up to $100,000 in each of the selected companies. Ultimately, what we're trying to do with the projects is provide them with not only financial backing, but also access to our global network, our experts, access to decision makers. That's a big one, especially when you're thinking about evolving beyond one location or really expanding your company in scale. And then insights developed over generations of being in this business. And I think when I talk to our agriculture team, so many of them came from farming backgrounds and have been in the sector for their entire lives, not just their careers, but their lives. And so we are able to bring a lot of those insights from being in this business and some of the different subsectors that we touch. And then, we have a long-term vision for our company to run sustainably. So if we see a strong business case for scaling up an innovation that's critical for our business, we won't limit ourselves to a prearranged financial figure. So if we prove out a model, if we can implement a solution that reduces the carbon footprint of our trucks, we're going to double down on it. Absolutely. And invest in it and scale it and provide the backing necessary to ensure that it's successful. And that's part of the program. And access to mentors. We're working not just with our own company experts and points of contact, but also with NGOs, with other VCs in the space. So we've got some Silicon Valley VCs involved. We've got some New York VCs involved, some European ones as well, with Antera, who are all helping to give advice to these companies about capitalizing correctly, about expanding correctly, giving technical feedback and advice as well. And those are all things that are integral to the program and we feel should help the companies be successful in the long term.
Incredibly exciting what you're doing here. But if we do just zoom out for a moment to look at that bigger picture, can you tell me more about how your 2025 sustainability goals and mission? Because I think it's fascinating what you're setting out to achieve here.
Yeah. The impetus for the launch of our goals and many of the other sustainability focused initiatives that we have are driven by our overarching company dream and vision of bringing people together for a better world. And that means committing to improving lives for people and communities where we operate. And we operate in 130 companies. So it's really important to us. And we make and buy and sell locally so we can make a healthy environment and we can empower our communities that are critical to our business through initiatives, through implementation of new technologies. And if anything has been clear from events like the Global Climate Action Summit I was there in San Francisco last week, it is that in order to bring our planet into a zero carbon sustainable future, our growth as a business has to be inclusive. So tackling climate change has to be central to our business strategy. If we want to keep growing, as a company, if we want to keep growing our crops, and if we want to keep brewing beer for future generations. And so the Accelerator is our chance to really take advantage of global reach. The cutting edge resources that I talked about, community-led insights, and making impact where we can and where we're best placed to. So our first year for the Accelerator will end in March of next year, and we're super excited about the solutions that have already come in, but that will be selected and then piloted through the Accelerator. And I know personally, I'm so excited to work with these entrepreneurs and innovators and to collaborate with them to bring about change and to really help alter our footprints and get closer to achieving the goals. So I think that's the mission. Bringing people together for a better world is the overarching mission. And then everything that we're doing on the Accelerator side is really working towards that, bringing that to fruition.
So if we do have anyone listening that your words are resonating with now, and I'm sure there are a lot of people all over the world about making that impact, can you just remind the listeners of where they can find you online and maybe contact a member of your team if they have any questions about how they could make an impact within their own business or just want to bounce ideas off you guys? What's the best way of doing that?
Yeah, so we are online. You can go to 100accelerator.com for the website, and we have all of our social channels there as well. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the whole assortment, the whole smorgasbord of social media, and our team is monitoring that and soliciting ideas through that and helping to give the feedback and to also bring in different ideas that could be a potential for next year. Even we're even starting to look at next year because we've seen so many great solutions that are just a little too early to be implemented this year. And so we're monitoring some of these earlier stage ideas, seeing how they progress, and then we'll be recruiting them for next year. So that is what I would suggest. And, we hope to please get in touch. We always want to see the newest and best technologies, and we'll direct you to the right people and put you in touch with mentors potentially or experts that can help to validate that or give feedback.
Well, I always say at the end of every episode that technology works best when it brings people together. But here, I mean, you're bringing sustainability, impact, meaningful change to the world using technology, which is a fantastic thing. So, Maisie, there's also an open invite for you on this show. I'd love to hear about those winners, those solutions, and the difference that they're making. Because it's one thing hearing about what you're going to do, but hearing when you're actually doing it will be a fantastic thing too. So thanks for coming on and sharing your story today. And also for your TV English drama list, don't forget we've got Line of Duty and Bodyguard. Add those to your list.
Okay, will do. Thanks for the recommendations, Neil. And thank you so much for having me on the podcast today. It was great speaking with you. And I appreciate the open invitation, and maybe we can even bring on some of these entrepreneurs next time, and you can have a chance to speak with them too. So it's not just me babbling on, and you're hearing from the source themselves.
We'll make that happen, definitely. I love how they've taken a huge problem of global sustainability challenges and turned it into an opportunity for development and innovation. And I also love how they've turned to both technology and the next generation of academics, entrepreneurs and tech startups who can help tackle the 10 most pressing environmental challenges that they're experiencing. And for me, this has got to be a much more interesting story than the latest iPhone. And I'd love to see more stories like this on these tech sites. And I'm quite excited to hear more about how these solutions appear in the very near future. And of course, I hope you'll think about today's episode the next time you walk into a pub or a bar and order a beer. But what are your thoughts about everything you've heard today? As always, let me know. Email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. I think today's episode was so valuable because we're starting to learn, because of sustainability challenges, we're going to have to start doing more with less. And technology and innovation is at the heart of all that. Excuse the pun, but food for thought indeed. And on that note, I'll raise my glass of beer and say cheers. And a big thank you for listening, and I'll return tomorrow with another great guest. But until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.